mountain, just in awe at what just happened to me. And the voice comes. He says, my son, go get our bike.
That's right. This guy is crying as he recounts Jesus telling him to go buy a new BMW motorcycle.
So come forth, step into your destiny now, saith the Lord.
Love the stick, right? That is a badass fucking stick.
I want to say this. If you're one of those and you're saying that the prophets are wrong and that you're right, would you do me a favor? Would you go on video and go on record, put your hand on your Bible?
I'm on video and record. Okay, I'm down. Let's do this shit. I didn't own a Bible. I had to buy one specially for this occasion.
Our president is legitimate, and his name is Donald Trump. I'm just going to say it.
Oh my God. Please. This is the cringiest shit ever. Chem Panda, is Kat Kerr wearing the Star Trek badge because she's a total space cadet? Oh my God, she is wearing some kind of a badge that looks like the Star Trek badge. Holy shit, dude, I didn't even notice. Her outfit is camouflage and says Commander Cat on it. No fucking joke.
I pray for this man. Lord, I pray you take the smell of smoke, the disappointment, the bitterness, the anger, the feeling of betrayal and loss. It must be a terrible thing, Lord, to actually feel as though you've been stolen an election.
This guy is literally praying over a cardboard cutout of Donald Trump in January 2022, a year after the dude left office.
And I'm praying now also. I'm seeing something great happen with the fellow whose show is right before mine on Saturday, Steve Bannon. I see God doing a work in him. I want you guys to pray.
Nobody was beat on like that, like our president, for 4 years. Nobody.
Nobody? Not one person? I mean, have you read about 1940s Germany? Do you know anything about that?
And God only endorses what he legally sets up that we put our agreement to.
Okay, so this whole time I've been thinking that God could just snap his fingers and make Trump president just like that, but now I understand that God needed to come down to earth to campaign for Donald Trump if he wanted him to win. That's my mistake.
BLM is demons! And you tell them I said so.
Okay, I will. I don't think anybody in Black Lives Matter gives a shit if you think they're demons.
But I'm asking you, Lord. I'm asking. I just found a flag here. I didn't know.
Are you fucking kidding me? You're looking around at your stuff while you're saying a prayer. What is wrong with you? Get back to God. He's waiting. He had a golden fucking statue built of himself. A golden statue. How much more on the nose can it get? That is some weird shit. But saying something that's racist means you will most likely face social consequences for that. That's just what it is. I'm sorry, this is not funny. This is sad. This is really sad. Welcome, everybody. Thank you for coming. How's it going? Going okay? Hang on, I gotta refresh the stream because the live chat's not showing for some reason. There we go. Now it's showing. Biggest Achunga, I haven't seen you in a while. Welcome. Hey, Owen, what's the funniest cult belief in your opinion? And thoughts on the possibility of Texas leaving the Union? How likely do you think it is? I'll get to you in a second, Olivia. Sorry to skip your super chat there. Funniest cult belief, in my opinion. Boy, that's a tough one. I'm gonna have to think about that for a little while. Let me get back to you in a little bit. Let me think about that one. There are some really, really strange ones out there. As far as Texas leaving the Union, I deeply doubt that's going to happen. I really, really do. It's illegal. There is no legal framework for that whatsoever. If they do, then it's because they declared war on the U.S. Or vice versa. And if that happens, they will lose terribly. There is absolutely no chance that they could stand against the United States government. They have an army, technically. Every state does, the National Guard. That's what's being described in the Second Amendment when it says a well-regulated militia. It's talking about the National Guard. But as it turns out, the National Guard is actually a federal thing. Like, they're people from New Jersey and stuff. Like, it's not all Texans. The whole National Guard is organized with federal, or it's organized on a countrywide scale. So, anyways, if they declared war on the U.S., which is what it would take to secede, then they would basically federalize the Texas National Guard, and suddenly Texas is under occupation, just like that. All of the military bases and everything that you find in Texas, they're all federally owned. So if Texas really wants to secede, they're going to end up, fighting a war in the streets. Like, it's going to be regular citizens who wanted to secede fighting this war with their little guns that they bought at the gun shop against real full-blown soldiers. So, good luck, Texas, if that's what you choose to do. Honestly, it seems like a cover for them trying to eliminate the Voting Rights Act, the 1965 Voting Rights Act. That's what it seems to me. Hey, sent you an email about my time in Heartland. Okay, interesting. Thank you for the super chat. I check my emails once a week, so I'll take a look for that. Taco, so much love and food. Definitely. Welcome. And we'll be giving the kitties treats a little bit later, possibly. Yours truly, number one pony. I'm doing better, but not good enough for work. Oh, that's a shame. Yeah, you got COVID, right? I seem to remember you mentioning last week, I think, that you got COVID. Well, at least you're doing better. That's a plus. Terrence Clark, it's a misconception that Texas can just leave. They can, however, split up into 6 states without congressional approval. Really? That's interesting. I didn't know that. Oh, yeah, another thing. Texas gets like 36% of its budget or some crazy high number from the U.S. government. So if they did split off from the U.S. government, they would be wrecking their economy completely. They would be plunging themselves as a state into utter chaos. Good luck, Texas. Not a decision I would make, but, I'm not Texas, so. Anyway, let me tell you guys what we're going to be covering today. We got a couple of interesting things to talk about. First, I want to talk about this article on the Friendly Atheist website. Backlash ensues over forum to make Pennsylvania explicitly Christian. It's an article about Christian nationalism and the fact that it seems to be taking hold in the U.S. right now in disturbing ways. And then I was looking for something to cover a little bit later, so I go to Greg Locke's website, right? A Global Vision Church or whatever. And I happen across this. This is his most recent sermon, right? And I'm just kind of scrolling through. I know it's about 45 minutes in before he actually starts preaching. So I get here, and look who it is! Mike Lindell, the pillow guy himself. Mike Pillow. Fantastic. I cannot wait to check this out. It's going to be endlessly entertaining. So anyway, let's get into this and see what people have to say. Or I'm sorry, let's get into this and see what this article has to say. And then we'll read more super chats after that. And then we'll hit Mike Lindell. Title of the article is Backlash Ensues Over Forum to Make Pennsylvania Explicitly Christian. This is on Hemant Mehta's website, which is hosted on onlysky.media now, I guess. It used to be on Pathos. Now it's on Only Sky. Anyway, let's give it a read. Next Thursday, which is, this came out June 17th. And right now is June 22nd. So actually, I guess it's tomorrow when this is referring to. Tomorrow, 2 Christian nationalists are hosting a discussion about whether Pennsylvania ought to be an explicitly Christian state. An advertisement for the event asked, can it be accomplished today? If so, should it be attempted? It feels like that is a blatant violation of church and state, like the wall between church and state. But I'm not really sure if this is legal or not. I mean, it doesn't seem like it would be something that would be legal, but I don't know. It's just bizarre. The Mid-Atlantic Reformation Society, apparently, posted this. Come hear about how Pennsylvania's original constitution called for an explicitly Christian state and what that looks like. Can it be accomplished today? If so, should it be attempted? The answer is no, it shouldn't be. Joel Saint, Executive Director of the Mid-Atlantic Reformation Society, and Chris Hume, Managing Editor at the Lancaster Patriot, will each be giving a presentation on the topic. A time of question and answer will follow the presentations to allow for stimulating thoughts and conversation. The fact that this is happening in the first place is disturbing to me. The United States is plunging into a deep, dark Christian nationalist period. This is Hemant Mehta speaking. This isn't just some hypothetical discussion, though. The conversation is happening because both men explicitly fantasize about a state and country where conservative Christians have always have the upper hand, while everyone else is subject to their policy preferences. And it comes at a time when Doug Mastriano, a Christian nationalist who attended the January 6th rally, could be the state's next governor. I actually talked about Doug Mastriano, I don't know, a few weeks ago, a month or two maybe. And then I talked about him again this past week. That video should be releasing next week sometime on the podcast channel. But anyway, on the Fireside Chat channel, it's another YouTube channel I have. If you haven't seen it, check it out. But the point here is that Doug Mastriano actually did win his primary, disturbingly, and he is a full-blown Christian nationalist extremist. Like, that descriptor isn't even accurate. I mean, that's how extreme this guy is. It's not precise enough to describe him. He actually attended a QAnon conference, like, right before his primary. And I don't mean like, oh, there were a few QAnon members there, you know. It seemed like they were kind of catering to QAnon. No, it was run by an avowed member of QAnon, like somebody who comes out and talks about it on a regular basis and says Biden's been replaced by a clone, and just the whole 9 yards, all of it. He even received a sword from the creator of the conference or whatever. It's the Sword of David, I think they called it. It's just unhinged stuff, man. Unhinged stuff. So Doug Mastriano is a deeply disturbing individual, and as it says here, he'll be facing off against a Democrat in the general election in November to become the governor of Pennsylvania, and he attended the January 6th rally. So there's that. Anyway, let's keep reading. This is Hemant Mehta speaking. The two men hosting the event in question are Joel Saint, a pastor and executive director of the Mid-Atlantic Reformation Society, and Chris Hume, managing editor at the Lancaster Patriot. Hume published a book last year titled Vote Christian: Biblical Principles for Voting, in which he sought to make the biblical case for why we should elect men who fear God to be civil magistrates. In a promotional video for the book, he said, God has instituted government, and he has instituted government to execute his wrath on earth. Jesus Christ, dude. I don't know if you guys have been watching the January 6th hearings, but there was a guy, Rusty Bauer, I think his name is, or something like that. Anyway, he's the Speaker of the House for Arizona State. So he's a state Speaker of the House. And apparently, hang on, let me fix my camera. It's bothering me. That should do the trick. Anyway, no, just a little bit more. There we go. Apparently, this guy, Rusty Bauer, when he went to the, to testify at the January 6 hearings, he said he believes the Constitution to be divinely inspired. God handed down the U.S. Constitution from on high to our founding fathers to enshrine it into law. That is insane on so many levels. I don't even know where to start. I mean, I'm glad he upheld his oath to the Constitution, I suppose. But the fact that we have people like that in government who literally believe that the Constitution is divinely inspired, that is just straight up unhinged. That is unhinged stuff. My God, dude. Anyway. Let's see. Let's keep reading. This is Hemant Mehta speaking. That's why this isn't some lazy attempt at censoring free speech. You have two men who explicitly oppose non-Christians in office, one of whom has actively tried to overturn elections, aiming to have a public event to justify their batshit crazy views. Hume has also called homosexuality evil and denounced pride. Of course. Absolutely unhinged stuff, man. You can see in the ad that it refers to the state's original constitution. That's because the document originally included an oath that forced officials to say, I do believe in one God, the creator and governor of the universe, the rewarder of the good and the punisher of the wicked. And I do acknowledge the scriptures of the Old and New Testament to be given by divine inspiration. Well, God, what a crazy thing to put into a state constitution. Why would that even be in there? It's bizarre. While the oath was removed in 1968, the current Constitution still says that no one in public office can be disqualified as long as they believe in God and a future state of rewards and punishments, i.e. heaven and hell. That provision is obviously unenforceable because of the whole no religious test bit in Article 6 of the U.S. Constitution, but it's a reminder that we're not that far removed from religious relics. Yeah, absolutely. We aren't really that far removed at all. Like, people don't realize just how easy it would be to slip into complete, like, state religion territory. The only thing that holds the United States together as a secular state is the fact that people that are in charge believe that it should be. That's it. That is it. When they don't anymore, it's no longer a secular state, just like that. Just like democracy only exists because the people in charge believe that it does. If they stop believing it exists, it doesn't. It's one of those things that the more you believe that it exists, the more it does exist. Same with money. The more you believe that money has value, the more value it has, or the more likely it is to hold value. If you lose faith in the idea that money holds value, it no longer does, just like that. So anyways, yeah, that's where we're at. Disturbing stuff, man. Yet these guys want to bring those back. That's concerning to advocates of church-state separation like Amanda Tyler, the executive director of the Baptist Joint Committee for Religious Liberty. Here's a quote. What concerns her, she said, is the effort to advance the narrative that the United States was founded as a Christian nation. I think this ideology attacks the foundational values of religious freedom for all in this country, she said. She said, Christian nationalism sends a signal that to belong in the United States, you have to be Christian. That sentiment is un-American. It is. It is un-American. And the United States was not founded on Christian principles. It's not a Christian state. It never was in any way, shape, or form. But people are trying to rewrite history desperately to turn it into something that it wasn't. And again, this is one of those things, the more people believe it, the more true it becomes. The people who are writing this history, the people at the very top, the people in charge, if they want this to be a Christian state, then suddenly it is, just like that. Neither Hume nor Saint have publicly addressed that criticism. They have nothing to say to Muslims or atheists or other non-Christians who believe in actual religious freedom. Keep in mind, these guys could easily have said our country would be better off with Christian values, whatever they think those are. But they chose not to. They specifically want to limit public office to people who literally share their faith, as if that's what's truly important for any public official. The event was slated to take place at the Tide House restaurant in Lititz, but perhaps after public backlash or overwhelming response and interest, according to Human Saint, it'll happen somewhere else. I think if they were canceled for something, they would have gone completely nuts and screamed about cancel culture, right? I can't imagine that they were, like, kicked out of a venue for their bizarre, backwards views. They would have made a big deal out of it. Anyway, that alone is a different kind of drama. The company that owns the restaurant, St. Boniface Craft Brewing Co., defended the decision to host the event via a Facebook post. They said that while they believed in inclusivity and rejected white supremacy, racism, bigotry, and homophobia, they didn't see the problem in the topic of discussion. This is a quote, I guess, from the bar that was going to hold their event. Pennsylvania itself has strong Christian roots. Being that the country itself has hundreds of churches, we were woefully unaware that living by and promoting that standard of living is considered to be extremist behavior. Please forgive us for that oversight. Wow. Yeah, I guess the bar... I can't imagine the bar canceled them. That's ridiculous. This is Hemant Mehta speaking again. I can't decide if the person who wrote that is ignorant or a troll. The problem isn't Christianity. The problem is Christian nationalism and what it means for the people living under it. Lancaster Online notes that the co-owner of Tide House no longer works there as of Tuesday. A reason wasn't given. Another bar owner said he'd be removing St. Boniface beers from his selection, and the Facebook post written by the company hosting the event was quickly deleted. Just chaos everywhere. Wow, okay, well maybe they were removed then. That's crazy. This is the final section. No one associated with this event is coming out of it looking good, and it hasn't even happened yet. But that's a good thing. We need more people, especially Christians, pushing back against the scourge of conservative Christian rule. We know what that looks like in practice and how many people suffer as a result of it. Calling for a literal Christian state isn't some harmless debate. It's the Republican platform these days, and it's bad news for every single person who doesn't accept conservative Christian propaganda. Yeah, I couldn't have said it better myself. Disturbing stuff, man. We are walking into a Christian nationalist state right now. And if you're not fully convinced of that yet, let me show you a couple of things, okay? So this is Greg Locke. I'm sure you're probably familiar with him, but if you're not, let me give you a little introduction. February 13th, 2022, he goes out on stage. You know what? Before I get there, he has been doing everything he could to intertwine religion and politics to the best of his ability. In the United States, you're not supposed to specifically endorse or oppose political candidates if you're a nonprofit organization. It's 501c3 in tax code. That's like the rules governing what nonprofits are allowed to do, and it explicitly says you can't do that. You can't endorse or oppose political candidates. Well, guess what Greg Locke has spent the past few years doing? He's been endorsing political candidates and opposing them, honestly, maybe since his church started, for years and years. 2006, I think, is when he first opened its doors, or when he filed his business license at the very least. So anyways, hang on, let me connect my... Okay, I think connected him. So anyways, Greg Locke supposedly gave up tax-exempt status recently. He claims that he did, but I did a business search on the Tennessee Secretary of State website, which lists all businesses and business licenses. It's not listed as having been dissolved. He said he dissolved it. It says active right now, so I'm not really buying that he dissolved tax-exempt status. Either way, let me just give you an introduction to Greg Locke so you have an idea of who we're working with here. This is February 13th, 2022. He comes out on stage, and he says this.
We got first and last names of 6 witches that are in our church. And you know what's strange? 3 of you are in this room right now. Three of you in the room right now. You better look in my eyeballs. We ain't afraid of you, you stinking witch. You devil-worshiping Satanist witch. We cast you out in the name of Jesus Christ. We break your spells. We break your curse. We got your first name. We got your last name. We even got an address for one of you.
That's ridiculous on so many levels. I can't. Later, he came out and revealed who these supposed witches were. They were members of his security staff that he decided he didn't like anymore, basically. Here's the thing. Greg Locke isn't really... Okay, Greg Locke is a member of an ideology or a theology, a belief system that's probably not like what you are familiar with. When I grew up as a Jehovah's Witness, I had a completely different idea of what evangelicals were than this. Hang on, let me just put my AirPod in my case and grab my other headphones. Just a second. Evangelicals, I've come to find, tend to believe that they have all the exact same powers as witches, fortune-telling and divining and just all of it, everything. They believe that they can do the same things that they believe witches do. Of course, they don't fully understand what witchcraft really is or what Satanism really is. But in their mind, they can do the same things. They're just getting the power from God rather than where they think witches are getting it from, which is Satan, right? So I find it interesting that he called out witches on stage, and it turned out those people were members of his security staff. How did he arrive at the conclusion that they were witches? He decided that the things that they were doing, he decided that the power that they were using to do those things that he thought they were doing, he thought their power was coming from Satan rather than from God. That's basically what it is. Like, this person on his security staff was giving him prophecy and telling him all kinds of stuff about, you know, God wanted him to do this and that, blah, blah, blah. He believed that she was getting this information from Satan rather than from God. That's really the only difference. That's what made her a witch and nobody else in the congregation a witch, because he decided that that's where she was getting her power from. Anyway, let's keep listening to what he had to say here.
You so much as cough wrong, and I'll expose you in front of everybody in this tent, you stinking witch. You were sent to this church to destroy us. You were sent to this church to lure us in. You were sent to this church to cast spell. Listen, some of you been sick because you befriended that witch.
Again, she was just a member of his security staff for like 8 months or something. They were friends. Like, they went over to each other's houses and stuff. It's bizarre to me that he suddenly turned on her that way. I mean, I've talked about this in I've talked about this at great length. I've done a whole video breakdown about it. So if you're curious, I think it's on my main channel here. Just search for Greg Locke witches and I'm sure it'll pop right back up. But anyway, let's keep listening.
2 of you in my wife's ladies Bible study, and you know who you are, and we gonna ask you to get out, or I'll expose you in front of everybody. We got all 6 of their names. All 6 of them. 2 of them had already been confirmed before that thing ever even said it.
That thing, I hear you saying? Yes, that's right. He believes he got their names from a demon, or he claimed it. I don't think he believes it. He claims that he heard them communing with a demon or something, and this demon was speaking the names of the witches in the congregation, and he heard their names. 2 of them were confirmed before that demon even said it. That is unhinged stuff, dude. So here's why I'm talking about Greg Locke right now. He's been desperately trying to erode the separation between church and state for years. And he recently, finally, claimed to have given up tax-exempt status, right? I don't believe he did, but he said he did. So at this point, he feels perfectly free to go completely nuts and endorse candidates, condemn candidates, oppose them, whatever. I mean, no rules for this guy anymore. He's ready to just jump right off the cliff. And that brings us to the video that I wanted to watch tonight, which is Mike Lindell, the pillow guy, avid Trump supporter, giving a full-blown sermon at Greg Locke's church. Okay, let's see. We're going to find our spot in this in a second, but let's take a look at Super Chats first. Where was I? Jen Flirk. Here for 3 kitties, Owen. Keep fighting the good fight. Love from Canada. I appreciate that. Thank you so much. We'll give the cats some treats at the end, too. As a Texan, all I can do is ask for mercy in our ignorance. Have you seen that Supreme Court ruling? Not sure which one you're referring to. You talking about the one that erodes the separation of church and state, where taxpayer money can now go to religious schools? Yeah, I heard about that one. Thanks for the super chat, Peyton. Olivia May Julius. Heartland is a cult. Lived there for 3 months in college before getting kicked out for supporting gay rights. Wow, that's crazy. I haven't heard of that. I'll have to take a look. Therese Finley, I think. Hi, Owen. I'm a new subscriber for a CPL months or so. Wait, for a couple months, and I recently became a Patreon member. I love what you do and what you stand for. I'm a former Catholic. Thanks for all you do. Well, I appreciate that. Thank you so much for coming. I hope you like my stuff, and thanks for the super chat. Tyler Jones. Hi, Owen. Love your stuff. I met a real QAnoner today. He went off about gays and then the Pope's acceptance being a sign of the Great Awakening coming. Scary stuff. How do people actually believe this stuff? Keep up the good work. Thanks. Yeah, I know. It's bizarre. I keep trying to figure out, like, how so many people were brought under the QAnon umbrella, because QAnon is such a bizarre belief system, right? How did it grow so big so quickly? I mean, it's really unhinged stuff. Some of these people, like Mike Lindell, for example, some of these people believe that John F. Kennedy Jr. is really alive. I mean, I don't know if Lindell believes this specifically, but he buys a lot of QAnon beliefs. Anyways, QAnon believes John F. Kennedy Jr. is alive and that he's, well, some of them believe he's going to run for president with Trump in 2024. Some of them believe that he's actually the real president behind the scenes. I mean, it just gets crazy, man. Really, really crazy. Let's see. Fishing Magician, thank you so much for the super chat. Fishing Magician, thanks for the super chat. Trey Koyawena, hey Owen, sorry I missed that last Sunday live stream. Don't sweat it, no big deal. Thanks for coming now. Lawrence Lowe just finished the cat video. More great content. Smash the likes. Have a great podcast. Big Owen, it's showtime. Well, thank you so much. Yes. Hang on. Okay. Thank you so much for the super chat. And yeah, definitely hit the like button and all that stuff, because this one is staying live. Some podcast episodes I unlist afterward. This one's staying live after. Peyton Pasquale. I also should have said this first. I appreciate what you do as a Southern Christian. It's easy to get radicalized. You kind of pulled me out. Thanks. Well, I'm glad I could help in some small way. I'm glad you found your way out, because it's an uphill battle sometimes, that's for sure. Apple Atheist. Greg Locke is a thief and not a treasure hunter. As a Final Fantasy fan, you should get the reference, right? I'm a Final Fantasy 7 and 8 fan, so it's limited. My experience with it is limited. But I think that's from 6, isn't it? I'm only slightly familiar with it. Anyway, and I'll tell you what, let's take a look at this Greg Locke and Mike Lindell thing we got going on here. Usually, this is his full sermon, beginning to end, okay? And it's like 2.5 hours long. Usually, he starts out about 30 minutes in, because he has a band that plays and all that. I don't need to listen to the band. Actually, it's usually 45 minutes in, but let's just listen to the first minute or two here, see if we can find where it all starts.
Breeze in the tent, but it feels pleasant today, and I'm glad the Lord's given us a sweet breeze, and I'm glad that you...
Let me equalize the audio. Testing, 1, 2, 3, test. Okay, I need to turn it up just a little bit.
Going to change your life today because of the power.
Computer, stop.
Of his word. I want you to shout.
That seems right. Computer, stop. Jesus Christ, that thing is annoying. Okay.
Amen in the house. How many of you, we don't always get a...
Let me skip to where Mike Lindell first walks in and see if I can... Hold on. Okay, yeah, this is where he introduces him. So let's just skip back like 30 seconds, see what Locke has to say leading up to it.
There's nobody, and I mean nobody in America, that has put more personally skin in the game into election integrity than this man. There is no doubt. I mean, we're talking about putting your money where your mouth is, amen. And I mean, he is sown into this nation to make sure that we know that this is still the God-blessed nation, the United States of America, ladies and gentlemen, and we're not going down that easy. The ship's not going to sink anytime soon.
Okay, I'll tell you what. Since we're going to be watching Lindell, I think this is about the point. So, what do you guys think about playing a game while we listen to this for a few? In fact, why don't we do a poll real quick? See, do you guys want to watch me play Breath of the Wild or Mario Maker 2? That's the question. Let me pull up a poll. Hold on. Breath of the Wild, I just started a new game. I just got off of the Great Plateau. Let's see. Okay, I've got the poll up here. Awesome. Okay, now I'm going to copy it. Copy. Show results. All right, I'm going to post this in the chat. You guys go vote. Let me know which one you want me to play. And based on the choices that you guys make, we'll play that one. Wow. Breath of the Wild seems to be like a vast favorite at the moment. Hold on. I'm just trying to pull up like so that I can see. Okay, there we go. And I'm going to switch screens over in a second. Apparently, I have to fix my game capture. Hang on. Give me a second to fix the game capture. Nope, nope, nope. That's not the one. Hang on. Sorry, guys. I just need to fix my game capture. Okay, there we go. Got it. Well, it's looking like Breath of the Wild. We got 43 votes for Breath of the Wild, 21 for Mario Maker. Okay. Breath of the Wild it is then. Let me just flip over so you guys can see it. And boom. I'm going to try to start saying boom goes the dynamite more. And boom goes the dynamite. Perfect. So now we got Breath of the Wild. You guys should be able to see everything well. Can't hear it, though, because we're going to be listening to Greg Locke. You can hear it for a second. There. I don't want to get copyright stricken. Okay, cool. Let's listen to Greg Locke and Mike Lindell go completely unhinged while we play some Breath of the Wild, shall we?
Vision, I want you to get on your feet. Make welcome my friend Mike Lindell to the platform. Hallelujah.
His opening statement, his opening statements have got to be nutty, right? I haven't seen this yet. I just saw that this happened in the first place like 20 minutes before I went live, so it's got to be good.
He's not just the founder, he's the inventor of My Pillow. God bless you, brother.
Honestly, how did a pillow manufacturer get so filthy rich? A billionaire. How did he turn into a billionaire? Are pillows really such a hot commodity?
Here, I love you.
Thank you, thank you. I actually took some notes here. Usually I don't do that. I watched Roger Stone last week. He goes, I want to be surprised by what I'm going to say. Thank you. I want to tell you, here on Father's Day, the importance of Father's Day.
Oh, it was Father's Day. Okay.
And the family.
And you know what else it was? Actually, it was Juneteenth. Notice he's not mentioning that, at least not yet.
I want to say a couple things. You look what's going on, like in Michigan now, the Attorney General wants to put a drag queen in every school. It's disgusting.
Absolute ridiculous culture war nonsense. Constant culture war BS with these people.
And
it's like, isn't this freedom of speech and freedom of expression? Isn't that exactly what this is? When did Republicans like Mike Lindell or QAnoners or whatever suddenly become anti-freedom of expression? This blows my mind.
But they did a poll in a prison in Kansas. This is about 4 or 5 years ago. And how many of the inmates in there, remember these are felons, where both their parents got married, planned their child, had the child, and were still married while the inmate was in prison? 0%.
Okay, I doubt it, but okay, let's just continue on. I'm listening.
As you moved up to the county jails, then you had more marriages staying together and more fathers in their lives. And so I'm just going to put that out there because it's kind of like my story. I'm going to tell you a little.
Okay, let me point out exactly what he just did. Here's the problem, okay? A lot of the time, Republicans like this guy or QAnoners or whoever else, they like to lean in on this culture war issue. Like, the problem in society is fatherless homes. People just aren't taking care of their kids, blah, blah, blah. It's a cheap, easy way to blame the individual instead of addressing the problem on a societal level. Name the problem, and this is the solution that they have for it. Fathers, stay in the home. You want crime to go down? You want blah, blah, blah? It's all fathers stay in the home. We could also try rising people out of poverty. I mean, there are a billion things that we could try doing to solve problems, and we haven't tried any of them. But instead of addressing these solutions or mentioning them or any of that stuff, he wants to lean on it's the individual's fault. People are irresponsible. Fathers need to stay with their kids, blah, blah, blah. Okay, I agree. Yeah, definitely. That shouldn't exempt the government from trying to find a government or a society-wide solution to a lot of these problems.
A bit of my story, and then I'm going to tie it into where we're at today as a country and as a world, actually.
As a world, okay.
My story starts, I was in 1968, I believe it was.
Oh, God. You know what we should have done? I should have created a bingo card for Mike Lindell. Who wants to bet he's going to talk about, let's see, what's he going to talk, what should be on the bingo card? He should have, he's going to mention his addiction, his drug addiction, for sure, right? He's also going to mention Lindell TV and Frank's Speech TV or whatever. He's definitely going to mention his social media at least once.
7 years old and my parents divorced, and I was put into a new school where I was the only child from a broken family. Divorces weren't common back then. So I put in, and I right away, the devil got in there with the lies that I wasn't good enough. I didn't think I fit in. I was very kind of introverted, if you can believe that. I wouldn't talk to people, or I would show off and say, watch me jump out this bus window as the bus is going 40 miles an hour, you know?
Okay, this guy obviously has some kind of a, like a mental condition that he's dealing with, and I feel like the right is largely taking advantage of that, and it's kind of sad to see, honestly.
So I either became a show-off or I would not talk. And I think this is common when in childhood, the fatherlessness in our country and what's happened is just, it manifests into the devil getting in there and with these lies. But so for me, I'm gonna.
Boy, I bet his dad is regretting not hanging around now, isn't he? Again, this is just his answer to culture war problems, and it's honestly no answer at all. It doesn't further the discussion. It doesn't actually solve any problems or any of that. It's just blaming the individual, and it's a quick, easy way to kind of get out of questions that you're asked for politicians.
I'm going to fast forward, and I'm going to go, okay, I was introduced to, I became an addict with alcohol, but then cocaine I was introduced in 1982. And when I got in cocaine, it was, and like all other addictions do, it gives you a false courage, but it also masks pain.
Some people may not know this about me, but I was an addict for years also. It was heroin for me, or actually it was OxyContin originally, but eventually it turned to heroin when OxyContin was no longer available. And I was so motivated to help other people who were in a similar situation to me, I went to college for substance abuse counseling eventually. I take addiction very seriously. It is my whole life trying to help people find their way out of it and things. Or at the very least, it was the basis of my entire motivation for everything for a long, long time. And now I think my motivation centers more around helping people escape religious cults or destructive cults in general. But the training that I had when I went to college for substance abuse counseling has definitely come into play since getting into this field. I mean, they were psychology classes. I took classes on all types of different psychology subjects and sociology and stuff. So, yeah, I don't make light of addiction. I'm glad that Mike found his way out of it. Really, I am. Not saying that sarcastically.
And those two things, the masking pain and the false courage, but it was perfect for me. And that time, I was always an entrepreneur, so I was always doing different things. And like my sister she popped a waterbed on the second floor of an apartment building and flooded the whole apartment complex. So,
oh my God, that sounds like a nightmare. What's the point? How does this get us further into the discussion? I don't understand.
I became a carpet cleaner. It was problem solution.
Okay.
Well, anyway, so I was a very functioning addict. I prayed to God. I had to skip through all this stuff in the early 80s. I had everything happen to me you could imagine. I had 14 near-death experiences. From falling asleep on a motorcycle, going skydiving, and having the parachute malfunction. So in the same day,
yeah, okay, this is a weird story, but I'm with you so far, I suppose.
That's a bad day. And plus getting in trouble. I remember getting 17 traffic tickets on my motorcycle because I didn't have a motorcycle endorsement, and I was outrunning the cops, and I go to court.
I go to court, okay.
And it was
17 traffic violations? Don't they just take your vehicle at a certain point?
Years old, and I told my mom on the way there, Mom, whatever you do, don't tell them I can't be tried as an adult or they're going to put me in jail. And you don't want your son going to jail. Well, we practice all the way to courtroom. We get in there. The judge comes in, and my mom stands up and goes, Your Honor, I'm tired of him getting off easy. I want him tried as an adult. I go, that's not what we practiced.
That's kind of funny. Actually, I like that story. That's really interesting.
And then I got up and said to the judge, I said, Your Honor, if you try me as an adult, what she just said should not be admissible because she shouldn't be here. And he said, Sit down, Mr. Lindell. But I thought it was a good argument. Then I said, and she would be a hostile witness.
He created a paradox. That's clever. Okay.
But anyway, I became I prayed. When I went to college for 1 quarter, dropped out, and in my 5-year class reunion, everybody there would either finish college or they had started families or they had.
He went to college for 1 quarter and then went to the 5-year reunion of it? What? Are you kidding me? Is that what he just said? That is weird, dude.
Advanced in their careers, and I had nothing. All I had was stories like I just told you. And at that reunion, I took over that reunion. I said, yeah, do you know I had the mafia at my door? They were going to kill me because I owed them for football bets. And everybody's, whoa. And well, I got home that night, and I laid in bed, and I was in tears. There was a deep sadness that came over me that I really wanted what they had. And it was just a loneliness like I've never felt. And I prayed to God. I'd always have these reactionary prayers. Remember that term, reactionary prayers. I'm going, God, please, I just want a family. I want children. I want grandchildren. I want, this is what I was praying for. Well, I was handed that on a silver platter in 1987 and was married 20 years. And I want to say right there, I was a very functioning addict. I think everybody thinks of addiction as people in the streets, homeless. I've been there too, but it doesn't matter how many forks you eat with, addiction affects all of us.
Absolutely agree. Yeah, this is definitely something that I can agree with him on. I'm glad that he's bringing awareness to this problem. I just wish it was somebody else, man. Really, somebody else, please. Not Lindell.
All of us, from 0 forks to 4 forkers and everything in between.
0 forks to 4 forkers. What is he talking about? What does that mean? I don't understand.
Okay. And so that was 20 years, but during that time, I remember, I had a bar. I was an entrepreneur. I had bought bars. I would always just kind of addiction. I'm going to tell you, addicts are hard workers. Addiction is hard work. It's one of the hardest work there is. You're constantly hiding, chasing, all kinds of stuff. Well, I had a bar.
He said he was a functioning addict, so I'm not sure how he would know any of this. He said he's homeless, or he said at one point he was homeless. He said he was hiding and working and all this other stuff. How would he know all of this stuff if he was a functioning addict? Usually these are traits that non-functioning addicts exhibit, or things that they have to experience. I don't know. I'm just suspicious of his claim that he was a non-functioning addict. Or I'm suspicious of his claim that he was a functioning addict at this moment.
For 13 years, and not a good place for an addict, but when the bars would close at night, we'd go to my friend's house or whatever, and we'd be doing cocaine, drinking, whatever, and I'd be sitting there telling him about Jesus and stuff that I read in Revelation when I was in jail. I would always read the Bible when I was in jail.
Yeah, that tends to be a problem, honestly. There are a lot of, really deeply religious people in jail. They kind of shove religion down your throat, In some cases, you even get extra yard time, or you get extra time outside the cell if you are going to, the chaplain or whatever else. It's not good, honestly. Some people have turned to Islam instead of Christianity, but Christianity largely dominates the judicial system, and I don't know, it just bothers me a lot. And a lot of the addicts that I knew were deeply, deeply religious people, too, weirdly.
And I'd go right to Revelation, And I would sit there and convince them about, for me, it was always trying to talk myself into God. And I would use mathematics, what are the odds? You have a 1 in a million happen or a 1 in a billion happen. You add them together, when does it become a miracle, okay?
I'm sorry. I'm trying to be charitable here, but I really don't understand what he's talking about. You have a 1 in a million and 1 in a billion. When you add them together, when does it become a miracle? What? What's he saying? I don't understand, at all. I'm trying. That is weird.
And I'm going, this is impossible. This had to be God. This has to be God.
Even basically 1 in a trillion chances, if it's not impossible in the universe, then it's likely that it's going to happen if it's not impossible. People don't fully understand, people like Lindell, I don't think they fully understand just how vast the universe really is. It is ginormagantuan. It is huge. The chances that some planet would eventually create life, or life would form on it, given enough time, 4.5 billion years, it's likely, because there are so many planets out there. There are so many chances, so many atmospheres, so many everything. it's extremely likely that life would form, and that's why many scientists are so deeply convinced that aliens must exist, though we haven't seen hard evidence of them yet.
And so I kept Adam together. But I would tell my friends this, and some of them would find the Lord, and the next day my friends are going, will you quit talking about God? We're losing friends here. You know, they would go.
That should be a sign you're an extremist, Mike. That should be a sign that you're going down a weird path that's making everybody around you uncomfortable. Somehow that didn't click in his head, I guess.
But so I'm going to bring it up to I invented my pillow. I got divorced in 2007. But
wait, he invented My Pillow, the brand, or he invented his pillow, like Mike Lindell's pillow? I'm having trouble figuring out which one he's talking about.
I turned to crack cocaine in the early 2000s, and
okay, so he did coke in the 80s and then crack in the 2000s. Interesting. Okay.
You know, not that one addiction's worse than another, but we didn't make jokes back then like, what are you on, alcohol? It's like, what are you on, crack? You know, because it was so far out there.
Yeah, crack, I've heard, is the worst. It's a terrible, terrible addiction. And honestly, the guy is like Nutter Butters, and he has deep issues that need to be resolved desperately. Obviously, some mental thing happening right now, but I do have deep respect for anybody who kicks an addiction, any addiction at all, and most of which crack is like absolutely terrible. I'm really honestly surprised and proud of the fact that he managed to. Like, that's really deeply impressive, honestly.
Invented the pill in 2004, but I was turned down by all the box stores, which has come full circle.
He invented My Pillow in 2004, but nobody would sell it, and now he's come full circle. That's funny. Yeah. Well, I wonder why. Any bead on why that's happening, Mike? Like, you connected the dots on that yet? Do you think maybe it's because you're a complete conspiracy theorist who runs the risk of getting banks subpoenaed for their records? You think there's any possibility that maybe it's because you've turned into a full-blown terrorist at this point? Or no, has that not crossed your cashew?
But I didn't give up, and then someone said, well, Mike, why don't you do a kiosk? I said, how do you spell that? And we ended up doing this kiosk. You know, it took me a year to invent My Pillow. I just put everything I had into it, and foam's flying around the neighborhood, and my sons and I are out there, you know, trying different things. And so when I finally had it invented, like I say, I was turned down everywhere. So we do this kiosk, but I couldn't do it because I couldn't talk to people. Of course, I couldn't be their high. But if people came up, they're right in my space, and you don't get. When I look back now, it was fear of rejection. Well, you don't get rejected if you don't talk. It's a pretty.
I actually have the same exact problem. I absolutely cannot go door to door anymore. Like, I used to do that when I was a Jehovah's Witness. You know, go around knocking on people's doors, trying to peddle my magazines or whatever. Can't do it anymore. I can't. I cannot force myself to. In fact, a few years ago, I went to an SSA convention. I think I had 50,000 subbies at the time. I was a tiny little fella. I went there with Genetically Modified Skeptic, and we were running around trying to give away T-shirts for free. It was just free shirts, you know. And he gave me some, and he took some himself, and he's going to just give them to the first couple people he saw. I couldn't bring myself to go up to a random stranger and offer them something for free. I could not do it. It's just, after being a Jehovah's Witness for so long and them basically crippling my social experience, or crippling my ability to talk to people anymore. I just can't do it. I simply can't.
Simple concept. If you sit and you're afraid to speak out, you're not going to get rejected, you know. But so I couldn't do that kiosk, but I was there, and this is like a little divine appointment I want to tell you about. I was there maybe 2 of the days, and my wife at the time, she did all the other days, and we had borrowed money. We had borrowed money from an ex-bookie to be able to afford the kiosk anyway.
God, I just don't get gambling or working with bookie. Where do people even find bookies? Honestly, I have no idea where people would even find one of those. Gambling seems like such a bad idea to me. I have never been into gambling at all. It's like these people are literally rigging it so that you lose. You know that, right? Why would you gamble if they're intentionally setting things up so that you lose? Just doesn't make sense to me, honestly.
And but I was there this one day, of the couple of days I was there, this guy came up and I sold a pillow. And he said, "Do you have a business card?" I go, no, I'm all out. I didn't have business cards. I wrote it on a piece of paper and gave it to him. And so we go through Christmas. We had to borrow money to buy Christmas presents. I had 4 little kids at the time. We had to borrow money to buy Christmas presents for the kids. And the kiosk was a complete failure. And other than, we had sold, some pillows, but we lost another $25,000. Well, in January, as I'm sitting there going, okay, I'm not going to give up, right? I'm never give up. And about that time, I'm going, once again, kind of a reactionary prayer. Okay, God, get me out of this. What am I going to do? Because now I can't even feed my family. And all of a sudden, that guy called. That one day I was at the kiosk, and he calls up and he goes, "Are you the guy that invented this pillow in Minnesota here?" He goes, I said, "Yeah." He goes, "Well, it changed my life." He said, I run the Minneapolis Home and Garden Show. Would you like a spot in there? And I'm going,
wow. So it sounds to me like he's saying that he invented something that's apparently cool. People like, I guess. I mean, I don't see what's so special about my pillow, but okay. So he invents this thing, right? And then he prays for God to help him because he's suffering. And then people start buying his pillow. How about that? So I guess he attributes all of his success to God making his pillow take off or whatever. Honestly, it's kind of a it seems like kind of a miracle to me that the dude turned into a billionaire by selling pillows in the first place. So there's that, I suppose. Let's take a look at Super Chats. Where was I? Let's see. Wait. Wow, Greg's transition to claim is too crazy. I think I read that one. I'm surprised they've not tried to fight against Pokemon considering some of their origins, like Dusk Noir and Gratina being the demons. Unfamiliar, but I mean, these people do fight against Pokemon fairly regularly. I mean, they've always been opposed to anything that people are interested in. This is part of that radicalism, that extremism that you tend to find with religious, with very, very religious people. People like Greg Locke have always been against Pokemon. Anything people are interested in like that. Anything the kids like. They also demonized cell phones, Not quite in the same exact way as they demonized Pokemon, but it's always been there in the background. Thank you for the super chat, by the by. Also, Alicia Mays, thanks for the super chat. And Mike Lindell still exists. Indecision 326. Yeah, I know that it seems like, why are we even talking about the guy anymore, right? But he is actually still extremely influential. He really, really is. The guy has his own TV network, for one thing. Lindell TV. He has his own, social media network, Frank Speech. And I know that it's kind of like a niche thing, there aren't as many people as you think, but there are actually more than you would think there are. There are a ton of people who watch his TV show and get on his social media network and all of that stuff. He is far more influential than you'd think. That's why we cover him. In fact, I just covered him the other day on my Fireside Chat YouTube channel. I covered a bunch of clips from him. It was really interesting. Apparently, Walmart stopped selling his pillow, or my pillow, or whoever's pillow. They stopped selling pillows from this guy. And he was, coming unhinged, making all kinds of crazy claims about how they're actually still selling them, but they're getting cheap knockoffs from China, the whole 9 yards. You know how Lindell is. Absolutely ridiculous. But anyway, I'll tell you what, guys. That's where I'm going to end it for now. If you want to see more of this, I'm going to be playing Breath of the Wild more tomorrow morning. And I'm going to be covering Kent Hovind's seminar. I'm on seminar number 3. It's not something you have to... you can come in at any point. It's not like a continuity thing. You can watch parts 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 out of order. It doesn't matter. I try to make them independent of each other. I'll explain things if they're missing. Like if we get to a point he references something from before, then I'll explain what he's talking about. So if you want to come watch me play Breath of the Wild, or you want to listen to Kent Hovind, or hell, I may even cover more Lindell tomorrow morning. I'm not sure. 11 a.m. to 2:30 p.m. on Twitch is usually when I do it. If you don't want to watch it there, I'll be doing it on I'll be uploading it to YouTube in the next week or so. I always upload the stuff edited down from Twitch after I finish the stream. So anyway, I appreciate you guys coming and hanging out with me. I mean calm to crazy Greg's transition of speaking. Oh, I got you. Yeah. Trey Koyawena. Thanks for the super chat. Greg's transition from calm to crazy. Yeah, that's true. I mean, Greg Locke is a master at doing crazy himself, so there's that. You should make Link wear funny outfits while live. Yeah, maybe. Possibly. I figure I usually try to 100% the game when I play it. I think last time I played was January. I played on stream, but I wasn't watching anything when I did it, so anyway. All right, well, I'm getting out of here, guys. I appreciate you coming, and I will see you guys hopefully tomorrow morning, okay? All right. Wait, I'm going to run my outro. Okay, have a good night, guys. If you like what I do and you want to make sure I can continue to do it, you can support me in a few ways. First, you can support me on Patreon. That's probably the best way. But if you want to get something back for your support, you can check out my Teespring. I sell all kinds of shirts and stickers and stuff on there. Second, you can support me by checking out my Etsy store. I sell 3D printed stands for every system, from the original Nintendo to the Xbox One. And finally, if you want to support me in other ways, you can check me out on my other channels. I have the podcast channel, which is where I talk about whatever's on my mind. Politics, social issues, whatever. You can also find it everywhere podcasts can be found. Or you can check out the videos on my main channel where I focus on destructive cults. As it is with most channels these days, I rely on the support of viewers like you to keep my channel alive, so sharing my work is extremely helpful. Anyways, check me out in all those places if you haven't already. Thanks for listening, guys.